Thank you. So before we begin the meeting, I think everybody knows that we lost 2 members of our Democratic family over the past week. One of them, of course, was Jerry Samet, who was the president of the District 14 Democratic Club. Many folks knew Jerry. Tragically, he died of COVID and was in the hospital when he passed. We also lost Senator Paul Sarbanes, father of our Congressman John Sarbanes. He passed away, I'm told, peacefully by his son. He was 87 years old. I forget how old Jerry was. But anyway, I thought it might be appropriate if we begin our meeting with a moment of silence for our 2 brothers in the Democratic Party. So let's just take a moment of silence, if we would. Thank you very much. Okay, next, so now I guess we can begin the meeting, and we'll begin with the roll call. Erwin.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Mumin Bar.
Here.
Juan Cardenas.
Here.
Aileen Charkoudian Rogers. Aileen? Okay, I'm recording Aileen is absent. Harold Diamond.
Here.
Arthur Edmonds.
Arthur informed me he was not going to be at the meeting.
Okay.
I think he's joining late. I think.
I don't think at all, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Linda Foley, I have.
Here.
Scott Goldberg.
Here.
Marjorie Goldman.
Here.
Mimi Hassanin.
Here.
Laura Henderson.
Here.
Jennifer Guzman Hosey.
Here.
She's trying. Oh, she is here. Good. Hi, Jennifer.
Samantha Jones.
Here.
Susie Kaplan. Susie?
Here.
Okay. Aaron Kaufman.
Here.
Daniel Karoma.
Here.
Dave Coons.
Here.
Matthew Lee.
Here.
Pam Luckett.
Here.
Marie Mapes.
Here.
Jasmine Morrell. Jasmine? Okay, I'm recording Jasmine is absent. Lori Rodich. Lori?
I see her on the screen. I think
Yes,
she's muted.
there she is.
I thought if I just pressed space, it would unmute. It didn't here.
Okay. I'm here. Greg Wims.
Here.
Sarah Wallach. Sarah? Okay, I'm recording Sarah as absent. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay, and now I'm going to call on Dave Shoemaker. He wanted a moment of personal privilege.
Right. Thank you, Linda, for the opportunity to speak with everyone. So I wanted to let everyone know that I spoke with Linda earlier today on the phone. And after our conversation, I sent her the following letter. Following up on our conversation earlier today, I'm submitting this letter of resignation from the Montgomery County Democratic Central Committee effective immediately. Due to personal considerations, I'm unable to continue in this role. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have served the Central Committee over the past year and a half, and I wish you the best in your future efforts to advance democratic values, policies, and candidates. I want to let everybody on the call know that I make this decision with the deepest regret. It is my decision based purely on personal factors and my assessment that I would not be able to serve effectively in the way that I would wish to. Going forward, I regret the timing of this decision, especially as many of you probably joined the meeting expecting me to be a candidate for treasurer this evening. But I think it's better that I do this now than wait some months and have to do it later. So I want to thank everyone, Linda for her phenomenal leadership over the past year, Dave and Susie, treasurer and assistant treasurer, Matthew and Moomin as our financial committee members, all the district leaders in our precinct organization steering committee and other members of that committee. I have the highest regard for you all. I strongly believe in what you're doing, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. So be well, Godspeed. I'll sign off the call now, and thank you, Linda, for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for your service to the Central Committee, and especially for all the work that you did with the precinct organization and helping me during the election, volunteering. You know, we're really sorry to see you go. I know you have your personal reasons for doing it, but we wish you all the best too. Thanks. Thanks for everything.
And the best to you. Bye now.
Dave,
Thanks,
thank you.
Dave.
Bye, Dave.
Aye.
So let me just say that I was as surprised as you are. I heard from Dave this morning, late this morning, and I was surprised as you are about his decision, but he felt very strongly about it, and he, and he, as he said, it's for personal reasons. He is not ill, though. I asked him whether he was ill. He is not ill. I do want to mention that I did, because we were counting on him to run for treasurer, as he said, I did subsequently speak with Daniel Caroma, and Daniel is willing to run for treasurer of the Central Committee. So, we, when we get to the nominations, I anticipate that he will be nominated for treasurer. I don't know if we need to say anything more about that. I think you all have Dave's email address, and I'm sure he would appreciate hearing from you. Again, he is not ill. He's fine. He's in good health, but he will be missed. So anyway, now I guess we can move to approval of the agenda. And I think if it's okay with everyone, we'll approve the agenda, and then we'll do the consent agenda after we do officer elections, if that's okay with everyone. So let's approve the agenda first. So I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Can you put it up, please, Linda?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have it ready to go up, and
So moved.
yeah. Here it
Second.
is.
Second.
Here it is. There it is. Okay, thank you. Are there any additions to the agenda? Any discussion or subtractions, or any discussion about the agenda? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. And now we'll move to the nomination and election of MCDCC officers. And I would like to, in that vein, relinquish the chair to Vice Chair Marjorie Goldman to conduct the election for chair of the committee.
Thanks, Linda. Do I hear any nominations for chair of the committee?
This is Momin. I nominate Linda for the chair.
Lori, I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
She's done a great job.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, would someone call it for a vote?
Motion
Yes.
to close nominations.
I call for a
Double.
vote. This is Laura.
Okay. This is for the nomination of Linda Foley to continue as chair. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Ayes have it.
Can I ask that either whoever moves and seconds give your name, or whoever's, running this section of the meeting, give the names to help me catch that for the record, for the minutes?
Erwin, I seconded. This is Lori.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I moved, Moomin moved. Yeah.
Moving,
you.
right.
I nominated Linda,
Yeah.
if that's what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And Laura moved to,
Second.
to the vote.
Second.
And I think Harold, was that you seconding?
No,
Oh, okay. Anyway, thank you all very much. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure working with all of you, and we're going to have a quieter year, I hope. But I think we can still have some excitement, and we're going to talk about that tonight. We need to build on what we've done. Everybody here contributed to the great victory that we had. We're going to discuss that a little bit more tonight because the final votes are in. And I just want to say what I said when I ran for this job the first time, that it's a privilege to serve with everyone on this central committee. It's really a privilege to lead the Democratic Party Central Committee in a community like this, where we have such strong Democrats, where we have such great leaders, and where we have a terrific volunteer base, many of whom are here tonight. And it's just really proud. I'm just really proud and feel really privileged to be able to be the chair of this group. So onward and upward. Thanks very much. And now I'd like to move to nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair?
Linda, this is
Yes.
Pam. I'd like
Yes.
to nominate Marjorie Goldman for vice chair.
Okay, is there a second?
I second, Moomin.
Seconded by several, Moomin and Mimi, several. Are there any further nominations for vice chair? Are there any further nominations for vice chair? Are there any further nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, I declare Marjorie Goldman elected vice chair by acclamation.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Woo!
Marjorie.
Congratulations, Marjorie.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations.
Next, I will open up nominations for secretary. Are there any nominations? for
Linda, I
secretary?
would like to nominate my fellow District 18 resident, all-around great guy, wonderful civil servant, and great Democrat Erwin Rose to once again serve as secretary.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Why do I feel like I'm at the Democratic convention? Okay, thank you, Aaron. Is there a second? Is there a second? Seconded by who? Seconded? Matthew Lee seconded. Are there any other nominations for secretary? Are there any other nominations for secretary? Are there any other nominations for secretary? Hearing none, I declare Erwin Rose elected secretary by acclamation. Congratulations,
Thank you,
Erwin.
everyone. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Aaron.
Next, I will open up the floor for nominations for assistant secretary. Are there any nominations for assistant secretary?
Hello, Linda. This is Daniel Karoma.
Hi, Daniel.
I would like to nominate the legendary Pam Lockett of District 20 to be assistant secretary.
Thank you, Daniel. Is there a second?
Second, Aaron.
Seconded by several. Okay. Pam Luckett has been nominated as assistant secretary. Are there any other nominations for assistant secretary? Are there any other nominations for assistant secretary? Are there any other nominations for assistant secretary?
I think Momin might have his hand out, but I can't tell.
No, he's just scratching his chin. Hearing no other nominations for assistant secretary, I declare Pam Luckett elected assistant secretary by acclamation. Congratulations, Pam.
Congratulations, Pam. Yay.
Congratulations, Pam.
All right, next I will move to open the floor for nominations for treasurer. Are there any nominations for treasurer?
Linda, it's Momin. I nominate Daniel Karoma for treasurer.
Okay.
I am second.
Matthew seconded, Dave
seconded.
Kuhn seconded, several seconded, right? Okay, Daniel Karoma has been nominated
Linda, I have a question.
for treasurer.
Linda,
Susie, I'm in the middle of taking nominations. Do you have a nomination?
no, I have a question.
Okay, are there any other nominations for treasurer? Are there any other nominations for treasurer? Are there any other nominations for treasurer? Hearing none, I declare Daniel Karoma elected treasurer by acclamation. Yes, Susie, what's your question?
Question is moot.
Okay.
Congratulations, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Next, I will open up the floor for nominations for assistant treasurer.
Linda, I'm going to nominate Dave Coons to be assistant treasurer.
Okay, Daniel Karoma has nominated Dave Kuhns to be assistant treasurer.
Second.
Seconded by Matthew. Dave Kuhns has been nominated to be assistant treasurer. Are there any other nominations for assistant treasurer? Are there any other nominations for assistant treasurer? Are there any other nominations for assistant treasurer? Hearing none, I declare Dave Kuhns elected by acclamation as assistant treasurer. And let me just say, thank you, everyone. Let's give a round of applause to everyone, all the new officers. Yay. All right, great. You know, this will allow us to continue moving forward. I know we kind of, Dave and Daniel and I have been in discussions today, and we kind of, you know, got thrown a little curve this morning, to say the least. And let me just say that, you know, Dave Kuhns has reluctantly stayed on as treasurer when I took the chair, and he agreed to help, at least for now, as assistant treasurer, and Daniel the same, at least for now, as treasurer, and you know, going forward. But I think that they're going to need some help. So I hope other people on the committee also step up, because we also lost our finance chair, right? So I hope other people on the committee and in our community step up and help us with this important job. So thank you both very much. I also want to thank Susie Kaplan, who spent several years keeping us afloat, first as treasurer, then as assistant treasurer. Susie, thank you for your service to the Central Committee.
Welcome.
And I don't think that we would have made it through if you hadn't been there to keep us afloat. So thanks very much. Thanks very much. Okay. Next, let's move to the election of delegates and alternate to the Montgomery County Democratic Party Executive Committee. I will now open the floor for nominations. What we can do is we can take, we have three seats, 3 delegates to the executive committee, and then we are allowed an alternate. So I will take nominations for the executive committee first. Are there any nominations for the executive committee?
Linda?
Yes, Susie.
This is Susie. I'd like to nominate Arthur Edmonds.
Okay, Susie has nominated Arthur Edmonds. Is there a second?
Second, Aaron.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for executive committee?
Linda, I'm concerned that on the slate that I saw by email, I don't think there are any females on there. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that's correct.
I'm wondering if there are any females here tonight who would be willing to run.
Well, anyway, I'm taking nominations. So would someone like to make a nomination for the executive committee? We have 2 more
And it
slots
is all
to
right for
fill.
people to self-nominate.
We have 2 slots to fill.
I'd like to nominate Susie Kaplan for the executive committee.
Okay, Susie Kaplan has been nominated. Susie, are you willing to serve?
Possibly if we can't get another female to serve. I think we need a female representative to the state executive committee.
Okay.
Surely there is someone here who happens to be female who would serve as either an elected representative or alternate.
I second the nomination of Susie Kaplan, Madam Chair.
Okay.
And no,
Okay,
that doesn't include you, Scott. You can't. You don't qualify as female. Sorry.
are there other nominations?
This is Juan Cardenas. I'd like to nominate Erwin Rose.
Okay,
I second this movement.
okay. Are there any further nominations?
Yeah, Linda, this is Dave. I'm going to nominate Dave Coons.
Second for the David Coons.
Okay, seconded by Matthew. Okay,
Can I self-nominate myself?
you may. Are you nominating yourself, Harold?
Yes.
Okay, so Harold is nominating himself. Is there a second? It doesn't have to be a second, by the way, on nominations.
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, it's seconded by Aaron. Any other nominations? I'm thinking about how
I'd like to nominate Lori Rodich.
Okay,
If she's willing to accept.
is there a second for Lori?
Sure, I'll,
Okay, several seconds, all right. So that's 6 people now. Are there other nominations for delegate?
Linda, this is Pam. Just a question. We have 3 delegates and 1 alternate, right?
That is correct.
And we're just doing the delegates now,
We're
not
just
the
doing the
alternate.
delegates now, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any further nominations for delegate? Any further nominations for delegate? One more time, any further nominations for delegate? All right, hearing none, here are the nominees for delegate to the Maryland Democratic Party Central Committee. Arthur Edmonds, Susie Kaplan, Erwin Rose, Dave Kuhns, Harold Diamond, Lori Rodich.
Madam Chair, this is Susie Kaplan. If Lori Rodich accepts the nomination, I'd like to withdraw my name.
Okay, so Susie Kaplan is not a nominee. So then the nominees are,
I would be happy. Is that 5 or 4?
that is 5. The nominees are Arthur Edmonds, Erwin Rose, Dave Kuhns, Harold Diamond, and Lori Rodich. Okay.
So how are we going to get the vote?
Well, that's the question. So, since we're on Zoom, voting is a little tricky, right? So the way we normally do it is we write on a piece of paper the people we're voting for. So we can't really do that here. But what we
Can we private chat to you?
We can private chat to me if you trust me to do it. I'm fine with that if you want to private chat to me. And I think the question is, so let me just ask the group, do we want to vote on everyone as a group, or do we want to vote on people individually? Like, well, we can't do that. We have to vote on people, everybody as a group, I think.
Right.
Chairman Linda,
Yes.
is that we need a female exec committee? If it's a Lori is the person, then can we just having a vote for the female, the not person for the Lori first?
No, there's no requirement that we have a gender balance in the people that we send to the
okay.
executive committee.
Okay,
That's just me, Matthew.
Yeah, no, that
Okay.
was just the point Susie raised. So
Okay.
there's no requirement that we have a gender balance.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So I'm going to suggest, if everybody's okay with this, that we do a private chat to me. And I will tally up the votes, if this is okay with everybody. And we'll just vote on everyone. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people for 3 slots, right? So you need to vote for 3 people.
No, you got 4 slots.
No, we have 3 slots, Harold.
Well, we can't, I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt. We can vote 4 names and the 4th person, the 4th number of votes, the lowest number of votes gets the
Well, that's
alternate
not
slot.
fair, because I know of at least one person who was interested in being an alternate. So, and
No,
the
I'm
way
sorry,
I
I don't
started,
remember.
the way I started this was we would vote
Yeah.
on the 3 delegates first and then the
Right,
alternate. I
right.
prefer to keep it that way at this point.
Sure.
if
Yeah,
that's
can you
okay with
just
everybody.
please repeat the nominees again one more time? Thank you.
Okay, well, Dave, do you have a question?
I just wanted to make a comment.
Go ahead, Dave.
I just wanted to point out that Arthur has served on the executive committee for several years. I think he's done an excellent job. I know he's not here today. Just wanted to make sure people, kept that in mind.
Okay, thank you. All right,
And-
please don't
and
vote yet
then-
until I call for the vote. I know several people put their votes in the chat, but I can't keep track of it, okay? So
Linda,
I'm
I
gonna
had a
ask you to do
question.
it again. Go
Linda,
ahead, go ahead,
this is
Greg.
Greg. I had a question. For the alternate, I was going to make a nomination for that. Is that after this?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Linda, can you repeat the candidates again? I'm sorry.
Yes, and please wait to vote until I open the voting, okay? So several people have private chatted me, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to. Okay. All right, so the nominees are Arthur Edmonds, Erwin Rose, Dave Kuhns, Harold Diamond, Lori Rodich. Okay, those are the nominees for delegate to the Central Committee. I'm sorry, the Executive Committee of the Maryland Democratic Party. You want me to put them in the chat? I can put them in the chat.
Yes, please.
That'll help everybody, right?
Yeah.
This is the order in which they were nominated. Lori, 2 D's in your name, right? No, 1. Sorry. There we go.
How do you vote on this chat?
Okay, you're going to send a private chat to me. So the way you do a private chat, don't vote yet until I ask for the vote, okay? Please do not vote until I ask for the vote. Because otherwise, if people send me things, it bumps it up and then I don't see it. Okay, so what I would like to do, the way you do a private chat, Harold, is you click on, you go down to the chat and you hit the chat function. And then where you click on 2 at the bottom. And then if you click on where it says everyone in the meeting, if you click on there, you can see there's a list of names. Find my name and click on me and you can send me a private chat. There you have it.
I think so.
Okay. So so I think what we're going to do is all right, let's start the voting now. I'm sorry to be a bug about this, but that way I can keep track of it. And when I'm not talking, I don't miss anybody. All right, so I'm going to say Susie was the first one to cast a vote. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So I have votes from Susie, Daniel, Matthew, Sam, Moomin, Jasmine, Erwin, Marjorie, Marie, Harold, Greg, Juan, Aaron. Is there anybody who hasn't voted?
I'm
Mimi.
writing it now.
Oh, well, hold on. Okay, now I see Scott and Pam. And Mimi, have you voted yet?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, Mimi's doing it right now. Is there anybody besides Mimi who hasn't voted yet?
Linda, you didn't say my name, but that's because I voted before. I pulled the trigger too fast. I'm
Yeah, we'll
sorry.
put it in there, okay?
I don't believe you said my name, Laura Henderson.
No,
and
I
have
didn't
voted.
see. Okay, I didn't see it. Could you put it in again? I'll have to go back and retrieve it, right? Let's see. Because I didn't count these up yet. It's going to take me a minute to count them up.
Do you want us to send them to Michael Tardif as well?
Did you,
It's too late. No, he shouldn't do it.
did you get it, Linda? Did you get mine?
Yes, I did. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now here is the,
Linda, I've
Yes.
recently resent mine
I
as
got
well.
it. I got it. I got it. Okay, so this is going to take me a little time to add this up. So I started with Susie. Is there anybody else who hasn't cast a vote yet? Okay. Susie, you only voted once or twice? Once, right?
I vote as many times as I can, but
Okay, all right.
this time I only voted once.
Okay, so let
I
me
voted
see.
once for 3 people.
Okay, got it. Arthur, Dave, Lori. They're in that order. All right, it's going to take me a second. Bear with me here, guys. All right. Okay. 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 Okay, keep going. Okay. 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 One, two, three. One, two, three. Okay. One, two, three. One, two, three. One, two, three. Getting there, guys. One.
I think Susie, you're doing a proxy
Two.
vote for Arthur Edmonds, right, Susie?
Oh, that's right. Three.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
forgot.
you should do that. You should do that.
Bill Sack is Agriculture Secretary.
One, two.
Linda, while you counting, can we get the nomination for the alternate to save some
No,
time?
I can't do that at the same time that I'm counting.
Can you do the vice chair?
Yeah, Marjorie could do it. Do you want me to turn the chair over to Marjorie? Marjorie, are you willing to conduct the nominations
no,
for vice chair?
All right, Linda, point of order, point of order.
Yeah.
It might be relevant, the results of the principal members might affect who is nominated as alternate. Somebody who doesn't make it for the final 3 full members might.
That is
choose to
correct.
Run for alternate, or someone might want to nominate them as alternate. So I think we need to wait.
Okay,
I
I
agree.
can't, guys, I can't multitask like this. I'm counting votes and I'm losing track.
Should we
Okay?
do Dolly's report?
No.
Okay.
While Linda is busy with that, I'd just like to say that I'm going to run for queen, and I would appreciate all of your votes.
I'll nominate
We'll have
Susie, but she'll turn around and nominate me for queen.
Oh, okay.
You
can
got
be
my
queen next
vote.
year.
Oh, shoot, I've really lost track here. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Or
I hope I didn't make Linda lose track, but
it's hard because I'm trying to read it out of the chat.
I know.
Irwin. I'm not sure I'm doing this right.
I did tell
Mimi, you can only vote for 3, Mimi.
Okay, then, okay, well, all right.
Send a new one, okay?
Okay.
I told the executive board that I was going to run for queen, but I don't think they believed me. But Laura, you can have it in 2021 and I'll run in 2022. How's
Okay,
that?
and this is, okay. Okay. All right. And Mimi, are you submitting another vote? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. All right, just a minute. Let me just make sure that I don't have one. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think I got this right. I hope. Yeah, Pam's right. Next time we should use the poll feature, but the way that we do it, the poll feature makes it tough to record the votes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I think if I save the chat, I get to save the private. I have to ask Michael this. Michael, if I save the chat, do I get the private chats to me?
You get, yeah, your private chat.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save the chat. All right, chat saved. Good. Okay. Here are the results. I have 16 votes for Irwin Rose, 15 votes for Arthur Edmonds, 14 votes for Lori Rodich, 12 votes for Dave Kuhns, and 2 votes for Harold Diamond. So Irwin, Arthur, and Lori are the 3 top vote getters. Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys and gal.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Okay. So now I will open up the floor for nominations for alternate delegate.
Linda, this is Greg.
Yes,
I would like
Greg.
to nominate Moomin Beret for the alternate.
Okay, so.
And I'm second.
And Matthew Lee has seconded. Are there any further nominations for alternate delegate?
I'd like to ask Dave Kuhns if he's interested in running for alternate.
Oh, that's okay. I'll defer to Moomin. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for alternate delegate? Any other nominations for alternate delegate? Okay, I then declare Moomin Bari elected alternate delegate to the executive committee of the MDP.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Moomin.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, I think that concludes our elections. Okay, thank you everybody for your patience there. I know it was a bit tedious, but that's the best we could do. it wasn't so bad, I guess. Okay, so now moving on to back to the agenda. We're now on the consent agenda. You all received these documents ahead of the meeting. As usual, we have the secretary's report, which is the minutes of the meeting of November 10th, plus the attendance report. The summary of the MCDCC Executive Board meeting of November 23rd, the summary of the MDP Executive Committee meeting of November 24th, the precinct organization report, which was submitted by Dave Shoemaker, and the Finance Committee report, which was submitted by Dave Shoemaker. Is there anybody who has any questions or has anything they want to ask or say about what's on the consent agenda? Okay, is there any discussion? Can I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved, Pam.
Moved by Pam. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Mimi. Okay. Is there further discussion? Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Any debate? All in favor of adopting the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, no opposition. Thank you. Okay, next we'll move to the treasurer's report. Dave?
Sure. The committee's current assets include $3,700 in the non-federal account, $23,000 in change in the federal account, and $330 in the admin account. That totals $27,752.68. We also have a club balance of $15,000.68. We've done a lot of work doing the non-federal and federal post-election reports. And then we're moving into the annual end of year report. Both of those are due in very early January. And then working on the transition. So that's my report.
Thank you, Dave. And our new treasurer, Daniel Caroma, will be working with you on those reports. He's going to need a little help, but he'll be working with you. Daniel, did you want to add anything to the treasurer's report at this point? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Daniel. There you go. Yep, you're still muted. Try it again, Daniel. We still can't hear you. We heard you before.
Can you hear me now? No?
Yes, we can.
Ah, there you go. Just would like to thank Dave for his work. We know he hasn't been, it hasn't been easy. But Dave, again, I want to thank you, and I know that as I accept this position for now, and as I told you that I wouldn't be able to do this without you. So again, I just want to thank everyone thank you publicly in front of everyone for the work that you've done, but also accepting to working with me and the team that we're going to put together to ensure that we transition smoothly. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I agree. And I also want to add my thanks, Dave. Dave was reluctant to stay on as treasurer. He wanted to leave. He agreed to stay on when I became chair. He's done, I don't know that people appreciate how much work it takes to do those reports that we file every quarter. It's a tremendous amount of work. And Dave does it, and he does it on time. And, he stays on top of the finances. Plus, I don't think people realize that, behind the scenes, he's organized a lot of things that help us move our finances faster and more quickly. I think that we now have things like our NGP operation working, and as well as some of the aspects of our communications system that all came about because Dave was trying to make it better for chair. Plus, he's helped the clubs get their finances in order. And so, you know, we struggled there for a while, but you know, Dave made sure that we kept everything on track. So I personally want to thank you, Dave, and I want to thank you on behalf of the committee. I think you've done tremendous work. I think most of you know Dave was also a former chair of the committee. So he's really put his time in here, and now he's stepping up and helping Daniel again. So we're calling on you again, and we really appreciate it.
Well,
And thank you for all that you've done. And
if I could just add, Linda, just very briefly, it's all the more remarkable that Dave agreed to be assistant treasurer, and it just shows what a good guy he is, because he's now also the chief of staff to the council president, which is a 7-day-a-week job. So.
Yeah, it is. Congratulations on that, by the way, for Tom. The other thing I do want to point out is that, you know, neither one of these two guys, Dave and Daniel, thought they would be taking on these roles when we started the day today. So I assured them that, you know, that I appreciate that they've stepped up, but I've also assured them that the rest of us are going to help them, and we're going to find, you know, we're going to make sure that we find someone, particularly in the case of assistant treasurer, because Dave has, you know, been wanting to get off of this for a long time, quickly, to you know, to help with that role. And I also assured Daniel that I realized this was not something he had planned for, and that he will, for now, take it on, and that's all that we can ask. Where, you know, that they do the jobs while they have them. So thank you both very much again for doing this in a, you know, in a pretty sticky situation. All right, is there anything else that anybody wants to say about the treasurer's report? I think I do, which is we need money, folks. We're going to talk about that. We really need money. We're going to run out of money if we don't fundraise. And Greg and I are going to talk. Greg is going to talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, we need everybody helping us raise money, okay? Because you heard Dave say that we have approximately $27,000 in assets. We spent a lot of money on the election. We raised a lot of money for the election, but we spent a lot of money on the election. And you know, now we need to raise money again. And that's the story of our central committee, right? So we all have to work at that. I will take a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Is there a motion? So moved. Moved by Mimi, who's coughing, and somebody else said so moved. Who else
Aaron
said
did.
that? Aaron said that. Okay, so moved and seconded by Mimi. All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. And again, they're going to be coming to some of you for some help on this, right? Okay, let's move to the rest of the agenda. This meeting. All right, next we have committee reports. We're going to start with the committee, with the Rules Committee report. And Juan Cardenas, you're up. I'm going to try to find the report. I have it here somewhere. And I will look for it while you start your report, Juan. I got it now.
Okay, well, thank you, Chair. 2 items on our report this month for the committee to consider. One is from the last month, and I actually want to start it with the other item that we actually voted on last month, and that was to approve the Germantown Democratic Club Charter. And I just want to recognize that the president is actually with us here in the audience tonight. He's Andrew Sondry, and he's been very active on banking. So, you know, welcome, Andrew, and thank you for hitting the ground running.
Thank you.
The item that's carrying over from last meeting is there was a lot of changes to the data and records custody rule, and I wanted to give members a month to kind of look it over to see if they had comments or feedback. And it might must have been fine because I revised rule and see if the committee wanted to either approve it, send it back to the committee for further consideration. So you have that rule right there, data and records custody. Policies and processes we have were eliminated, so.
Okay.
Would entertain any motion for
Okay,
approving
you're
the
breaking up. Is
proposed rule.
Juan breaking up for everybody or just me?
Yeah, for everybody. Are we?
For everybody. So you've been breaking up quite a bit, Juan. Let's, can we go over the report and tell us, review for us what the revision is here? Can you summarize? This is the revision here, right? Are you seeing what I have on the screen, right? This is the revision. This part about the data records in custody,
The
right?
data records in custody is the revision, yes.
Right.
Mhm.
And what's the part that we're changing? Review for us
Let me
again.
pull up last month's report, which listed all the changes.
Well, just summarize what's changed, because we have it, right? We have the,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, here
Um,
we go. Here we go. Rescind. Oh, no, that's a different thing. Okay. So just summarize what has changed in here.
Okay, there were references to printing labels, cost of printing labels. This all came about actually because someone had requested a list of precinct officials. And so that the requesting of those types of lists was clarified. It happened to mention paper copies. So a lot of this was updated to the electronic age that we're in. The donor information was changed to the source. Voter information is to be obtained through VAN. So a lot of it was just streamlining and taking out a lot of old references to the secretary pulling actual paper files, which we no longer keep.
Okay. So I think we are aware of that. We discussed it at the last meeting. Do we want to vote on this change first? Is that what you're suggesting, Juan, that we vote on that change first?
Yes, this one is separate, yes.
Okay. All right. So this is what we discussed last month as Juan described it. Is there a motion that we adopt the new rule?
This is Greg. I move that we adopt a new rule.
Okay, well, Greg moves that we adopt the new rule. Is there a second?
This is Laura. I second.
Seconded by Laura. All right, is there any discussion or questions of Juan on the new rule? I think we all probably understand. All right, hearing none, I will take the vote. All in favor of adopting the new rule signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, it passes. All right, now the rest of your report, Juan, go ahead.
The rest of it, if you scroll down to the next page, the 6 rules that we'd like to rescind because they're all very old rules. They're titled awards, bulletin boards, calendar. These 3 rules refer to actual physical items housed in the office of the MCDCC. Now, we keep these records pretty much online now. The calendar's online, the bulletin board, that's basically the calendar as well, or notices, public notices is online. And we don't keep plaques of all the award winners in the office. So it's just to eliminate those. If something like that was needed, I think we could just defer to the chair's decision whether we should put a plaque in the office. We don't need a rule for that. Number 4 was in regard to a chaplain, and it was to have a chaplain at to give an invocation at the starting of our meeting. It's back from the, I believe, the 1970s. The Rules Committee thought that was no longer needed in the rule book. No, I'm sorry, 1994. That one was no longer needed in the rule book. There's a rule on computers. Basically says what time computers can be used. You can't print labels after dark. Computers must be union made. Yes, I agree they should be, but I think most computers are made in China now. So that's a little hard to do. So a lot of these if there are pieces here, they need to go elsewhere. But not this rule is seriously outdated. And the last one is on contracts, referring to notifying all the electeds, all the precinct officials, whatever, that we're going to send out a request for proposal, or we're interested in opening a contract for some item or service or whatever. This seemed very cumbersome and somewhat vague, so we thought we should rescind this rule as well.
Okay. First, I'll take a motion that we rescind these rules per recommendation of the Rules Committee, and then we'll have a discussion. So let's move it first. Is there someone who wants to move the rescission of these rules?
I move.
Mimi moves. Is there a second?
Pam.
Second, Laura.
Pam and Laura both second. Okay. Is there discussion on any of this? Any questions? Any discussion? I have one question. Besides, I don't know why we can't print it, and why we can't use the computers at night, but I have, or print labels at night. That seems really odd. I have a question, Juan, on this one, on the contracts. I mean, I totally agree that notifying elected officials and precinct officials and interested Democrats is kind of silly. Is there a provision elsewhere in the rules that the Central Committee be apprised of any contracts that are entered into by the chair or the treasurer or any of the officers?
Yes, there is language in both the treasurer and the assistant treasurer referring to thresholds at which expenditures have to notify the entire committee for. It's not especially to contracts, but it's any expenditure, which would include any contract. This rule on contracts that you see right there is the entire thing, the one sentence. That's all it's in the rule book. So we think the language under the treasurer is a lot clearer and more, has a lot more weight than this, which is kind of vague.
Right. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right, it's been moved and seconded that we rescind these rules, these outdated rules that were presented by the Rules Committee to us. Are we ready for the vote? Yes, we are. All in favor of rescinding the rules signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
Opposition.
Opposition. One vote no.
I just want to make a comment that the thing about contracts actually applies to everybody who's on the Central Committee. So if you just eliminate that contract and somebody delegates somebody to do something and they enter into a contract, there's no requirement left to say you have to have that approved before you can just willy-nilly sign a contract.
This is Susie. I concur with Harold on this.
Okay, well, we closed discussion, guys.
I never heard it open.
Yeah, I opened discussion. I said, I can go back and play the tape. Is there any discussion? And I asked a question. And then I said, is there any further discussion? And then we took a vote. So are we voting 2 votes no? Is that what you're telling me?
The break that you think you took, and I don't want to argue the point. What I'm making is a point that there is a possibility that somebody may think they've got more power than they have at some future time. If you're going to be able to delegate things to be done by other individuals on the Central Committee or even off the Central Committee, and they do something that is inconsistent with good accounting practices and balancing things correctly, I think that the existing provision should be preserved in some way. And
Okay. So you're voting no, and Susie, are you voting no? I'm trying to record a vote here, folks. Susie, are you voting no?
Just getting my microphone on, Linda. Yes, if that's what it takes.
You're
to say
voting
that
no.
it's
All right,
incorrect
so,
to,
so
pass this, yes.
there are two, are there any other no votes? All right, the motion passes. Next. On the,
That's the end of the report, and I'm
That's-
going to get Susie and Harold the language that pertains to who on the Central Committee may enter into contracts.
Thank you.
It is not anybody on the Central Committee.
right, thank you. That would be, I think that would be helpful, and I'm sure they would appreciate.
when is the next Rules Committee meeting?
We would like to have one on the 22nd.
Of December,
Of December, yes.
online or in the office or what?
We're not doing any meetings in the office, Harold, we can't. So it'll be online,
Okay.
okay? And Juan will make sure that you notify Harold specifically about the meeting, Juan. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next we'll move to the Issues Committee. Aaron, we have a couple of documents with respect to that, and I'm gonna try to find them here. Let's see. There we are. Issues Committee report. So Aaron, do you want to, let me put the report up on the screen. There we go. Okay, Aaron, take it away.
Yes, I do. Vinnie DeMarco, who's an activist and advocate in Annapolis, who's renowned for his healthcare work, came to us and asked us to support his efforts to lower prescription drug prices. And it's not up on the screen right now, but it is a very compelling resolution, particularly about how prescription drugs have exceeded the increase in prescription drug prices have exceeded the rate of inflation by a great amount. And I didn't support this just because of me, but it's very important to me personally, because living with cerebral palsy, I take 10 different pills daily, different medications. And we know that I'm very fortunate. I work in a good job and I have good health insurance, but we know that the cost of prescription drug often leaves people destitute or choosing between food and medicine. And I'm very excited about the broad base of support, including from our own Montgomery County Council and Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Montgomery County branch of the NAACP and numerous indivisible chapters, etc., in support of Mr. Vinnie DeMarco's resolution. And I think that, that the Democratic Party for years and years has tried to lower the cost of prescription drugs because the hardships that I've described. And we need to keep pushing. So that is why Linda, Irwin, and I, who were the only people that showed up for the Issues Committee meeting, unanimously agreed, for the reasons that we outlined in the resolution, that this is the right thing for our party to do.
Okay. Erwin, did you want to add anything? Erwin?
I think we may have lost him.
Sorry, I just couldn't find my Zoom mute
Okay.
button. I mean, I hope everyone sees the actual text of the resolution. So, Vinny summarized the initiative at our November meeting, and then the Issues Committee reviewed the resolution that he was asking us to endorse. It was included in the packet. It's the document that says issues RX affordable.
Yeah, I have it up on the screen now.
Okay. So basically, I think the important thing to understand here is that this resolution is making the case for this type of prescription drug affordability initiative, but the actual resolved paragraph does not specifically endorse one piece of legislation. It basically supports the concept of establishing a new prescription drug affordability board. And then that board would consider issues related to controlling prescription drug affordability, including establishing possible payment rates for expensive drugs, et cetera, et cetera. So I know there's a lot of disagreement within the committee about how wise it is for us to endorse specific legislation. I just want to be clear that what this initiative is doing is supporting a prescription drug affordability board, as outlined by Vinny, and which is the centerpiece of the Healthcare for All initiative organized by the Maryland Citizens Health Initiative, but it does not name a specific piece of legislation.
Right. Okay, so is it your recommendation, Aaron, as the chair, that we support this resolution? Is that your motion?
Absolutely. The motion from the Issues Committee is that we support the the resolution. And I would just like to say, oftentimes, having been on the committee for almost 11 years now, we like to punt on issues from month to month, but we cannot do so because Vinny would like us to make a decision tonight so he can add our name by the by the time the session starts in January.
Okay, so Aaron has moved that the Central Committee endorse this resolution, Prescription Drug Affordability Initiative. Can everyone see it? Has everyone read this? Everyone can read this, right?
Committee members were given it in advance.
Yes, they were given it in advance. I just want to make sure everyone can see it and that they've read it and they know what we're talking about here.
I second the motion.
And it's seconded by Erwin. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none.
Yeah, Linda, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Pam.
This is Pam. Just kind of, I guess, an arbitrary question. Is there any reason why we shouldn't or wouldn't endorse this? I mean, it seems pretty solid and something. I think as we look forward into 2021, there's going to be a lot of recovery issues from COVID. People recovering, not only physically, but financially. And this is probably something that would be important. So I'm just wondering, is there any reason why we wouldn't want to endorse?
Aaron or?
The reason that it was unanimously agreed to, Pam, is because we didn't think there was any reason not to endorse it. And you're absolutely right that millions of Americans, sadly, when they lost their job, lost their health insurance, that they are going to be struggling for hope at least well into next year, if not longer, about how they're going to pay for their prescriptions without insurance.
Thank you.
May I make a comment on this?
Yes, go ahead, Harold.
I am aware, in my mind, that it should be more strongly emphasized, because I have looked at some of the bills I get, and I realize when the provider is billing $300 or $400 for something, and then it gets knocked down by this and that and the other thing, and I say to myself, they're all ripping off a profit there for what amounts to be a drug that only costs the bottom line number. Like Aaron, I take a fistful of pills every day. I'm covered, and I'm covered because I'm retired and under a retired person's plan. So I'm not going to lose that coverage unless the federal government ceases to exist. The idea of the matter is that a lot of these drug manufacturers pick up the prices just to make more profit. And that's obscene in my mind. They're trying to make a profit. But the thing is, it doesn't really help the people who are indigent who get their medication timely and affordably.
That's a fair point, Harold, as there's no silver bullet, but will this be a cure-all for everybody? No, but Linda, Erwin, and I felt it was a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction, but I'm voicing something that maybe that direction, if you're getting almost unanimous votes, should be even a stronger move.
Well, if you have other bills that you would like the Issues Committee to consider regarding the high cost of prescription drugs, I would be delighted to convene another meeting and consider that.
And I've even discovered in a situation where the local pharmacy, CVS, gave me a figure for something, and I thought to myself, no way in hell. I went over to the giant pharmacy and the thing was 1/10 the dollar amount. And I'm saying,
all right, we're getting a little far afield here. So let's
Linda, I just have one more comment.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's let Lori make a comment. She has her hand up. Lori?
Yeah, I wanted to say, and when I looked at the different groups that have signed on to the coalition, that many of the member unions from the Labor Advisory Council have already signed on to this.
That's correct.
I think that it's, that having our name on it, I'd be proud to have us join in support with all these other organizations and community partners. So,
Yeah, and also the Montgomery County Council has signed on to this.
but because they haven't really limited.
Harold, let's not have, let's conduct the debate. So Aaron wanted to say something. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yes, just very briefly, I would like to move the debate to a close shortly, but I did also want to, simply because, yes, it's a field, but Harold's our friend, point out that the Office of the Attorney General Prash's office has on their website a list of the most expensive pharmacies in the state, so you can be an informed consumer. But I'd like to
good information.
Close the debate.
Okay, Harold, before we close the debate, did you want to add to the debate?
Nothing further yet.
Okay. All right, Aaron has moved that we close debate. Is there any
This is
objection?
Greg, I second.
Seconded by Greg, non-debatable motion. Motion moved to close debate. All in favor of closing debate signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, debate's closed. Now are you ready to vote on whether we endorse the resolution? All right, all in favor of the Montgomery County Democratic Central Committee endorsing the resolution? Prescription Drug Affordability Initiative, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition. All right, thank you. Aaron, anything further?
Well, yes, and Linda will get to it in her report later, but just to tee it up, because I'm excited for what she has to say. Also, you'll note in my report that what I wrote is that we are going to start having town halls on exciting issues like the climate change crisis. And I think that Linda was exactly right when she pointed out that the town halls, which she'll talk about later, but are a wonderful tool to engage our constituencies in an off-year election. And it's a great way to rebut a criticism that I used to hear about the Central Committee, which is I only want I only hear from the Central Committee when they want my money.
Okay.
So that's it.
Well, let's hope that we're not in that position at this point, but yeah, so I am going to talk about that later, but thank you, Aaron, for bringing it up. And I hope you'll contribute, you and Erwin, who were part of that discussion, will contribute when we do bring it up later on the agenda. Okay, let me go back to the agenda. Thank you, Aaron. And next on the agenda is the fundraising committee. Greg Wims.
Thank you, Linda. First, I want to just tell everyone how excited we are. And we were at the last meeting. We just defeated Donald Trump, and he'll be thrown out of the White House very soon. And as you hear later with the numbers, we had a tremendous turnout of voters in Montgomery County as well as in the state of Maryland. And a lot of that was due to fundraising. So I want to go back to remind everybody, we started out with like the cooking class we did on Zoom, and then we moved forward and forward. Then we had the signs, we had the masks. So the first thing is to thank all of you, because we did raise a lot of money. But as you just heard on the report from the treasurer, we're down to 27,000, and we're going to need to pay a few more bills. And of course, we have to move forward to 2021. So with that, the Finance Committee had 2 wonderful meetings, and with all the Finance Committee people on, just raise your hands so we can see you. Everybody would see you. And we agreed that we would have a couple what we call fun fundraisers. And I'm going to let Linda, because Scott's not on the call, is he, Linda?
No, he's not.
Scott's not on the call, so I'm going to let Linda go into more details. But just to round it all, we're going to have some items that we're going to put up to our members of the Democratic Party in Montgomery County. What Linda calls like flair or fling. One being aviator sunglasses, which our president-elect wears all the time. The other's a shot glass, and the other's a beanie, and some buttons. So with that, Linda, I would like for you to sort of give in the details of what we plan to do for the inauguration as a fundraiser.
Sure. So, you know, those who are on the committee, Laura's on the committee, Mimi's on the committee, Daniel's on the committee, and as well as Greg and Scott Comer. And we had a
And Tony.
And Tony Hausner, yes.
Yes.
And we had a pretty decent meeting, a pretty fun meeting the other day. But around the inauguration, and I put this on the screen, Michael Tardif just got finished building this page, which we're going to advertise, I hope tomorrow, in a special edition of the newsletter. This is our inauguration our inauguration initiative here to raise money. We discussed this also at the executive board meeting and that we recently had a few weeks ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a watch party. Okay, just filled in my information. Isn't that nice? We're going to have a watch party during the inauguration itself. Okay, figuring that it might be fun for people just to get together and watch. But as a part of that, we're also going to offer some swag for people who want to celebrate the inauguration with stuff. And I think people want stuff, right? So the Women's Democratic Club, Diana Conway asked me specifically about buttons. And so we have this button here that we've ordered. And then we kicked around some ideas. And this is the package we came up with. So we have a button. This is a 3-inch button. It's a larger button that will offer us part of the package. These are aviator sunglasses that say 01/20/2021 and say Biden Harris right here. Shot glasses that say Biden Harris 01/20/2021. This says 2020, Michael. It should say 2021. And then Biden Harris beanies that have embroidered Biden Harris 01/20/21. Okay. And here's what we're going to offer here. So the whole package is going to be a button, a hat, a shot glass, and a pair of sunglasses, plus the watch party for $46. Okay, for President Biden, number 46. And then we're going to offer the items individually. So we're going to offer the beanie or the hat, and those are all going to be 2021. Okay. So the hat, 2 pairs of sunglasses for 2021, 2 shot glasses for 2021, 4 buttons for 2021. And then you'll see here, we're offering if you want to buy additional ones, right? Without the watch party. The watch party really doesn't cost us anything, but we do want to encourage people to watch. I think it might be, it might be a fun event. It'll be sort of like our election night event. Okay. So that's our inauguration package. And then also around that, Scott Comer is trying to put together a high profile event. It looks like what we might end up doing is having a high dollar Zoom event with a clutch, meeting with a, for like 4 members and founder circle members, having a little, a little tete-a-tete ahead of time with the guests. And we're moving toward having Jamie Harrison, who ran for Senate in the
South Carolina.
South Carolina, yes, and Tom Perez. Jamie Harrison is probably in line to be the next chair of the DNC. And so we thought it would be a good event to have Harris and Perez on the same event about, maybe the future of the Democratic Party or whatever. So we intend to have that around the inauguration. We're going to be very flexible on the time, have told them that it may be before the inauguration, maybe after the inauguration, but it'll be around the time of the inauguration. We also do not want to conflict with the state party, which is called Pearls in Pajamas. They're having that on the 16th. That's another event. So we didn't want to do an event in the evening that conflicted with what the state was doing. Also an evening event, I think it'd be a little tough because once you show up in your pajamas and pearls, then what? Okay. So those are 2 fundraising things that we're doing. We do really want to push the swag. I think that's the thing that we have had the most success with during COVID in terms of raising money is, things like signs and masks and buttons. And this stuff is kind of cool. It's kind of different. And I think people will like it. So, anyway, that's where we are. Are there any, did I miss anything, Greg?
No, the only thing is that we'll also later in the spring have something. Laura has got a good friend that has a backyard like an amphitheater, and we'll talk more about that unless she wants to say something today. And then we're planning something hopefully in the fall when the COVID is gone. So I think I'm excited though about the items. They're very reasonable. $21 in one bracket, 46 in the other, which is of course for President 46. That's why it's 46.
That's
it.
That's right. Yep. Thanks. As to Scott Goldberg about the pint glasses, mailing the pint glasses is a problem. So we're trying to figure out like what we can mail relatively easy because we don't have a lot of volunteers in the office right now. We have no volunteers in the office right now. Just Rochelle and myself. And occasionally whoever is treasurer, but Daniel, hopefully eventually. But anyway, we are, these have all been ordered. They should all be here by I don't know that they'll all be here in time for the holidays, but most of the things are coming in next week. And then, but they certainly will all be here by January 2nd. So we should be able to get them out. And shout out to Michael, who figured out how to put that all on one page and allow people to have different options, right? That took him hours to put that on there. So as usual, he came through for us. So please, let's push this stuff. Let's put it out there. We could stand to make a lot of money, and if we can bring some money in, then, we can we can start, we can start paying for these things, and then hopefully the idea is to get ahead. So just so you know, I ordered to start 288, which is too gross, of the hats. I ordered 500 of the glasses, 500 of the shot glasses, and 1,000 buttons. The shot glasses, the sunglasses, and the buttons are all pretty cheap. The beanies are pretty expensive, relatively. I mean, we're going to make money on this, so don't worry about that. But I wanted to see how it went. We can always order more now that the setup fee, the setup's been done, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, people will be excited, and they'll want to get some inaugural swag. So I'll open it up. Susie.
Could you repeat the amount that you have spent on this project?
I haven't spent anything yet.
Or the amount that you intend to spend on this project?
Yes. So I don't have the total cost. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, just in general, the hats you were going to order.
Yeah, the hats are going to cost us about, I think, $1,300. The hats are going to cost us about $7 a piece.
Okay, and the glasses?
The shot glasses are $1.70. The sunglasses are around.
Total would be about, say, call it $2 each.
No, they're $1.70, even with everything.
I'm just trying to round the cost. So
yeah, and then the
$750.
sunglasses are around $2, and the buttons are about 40 cents a piece.
So, and you're getting 500 of each item?
I got 500, I got 288 of the beanies, of the hats.
Okay.
I got 500 of the shot glasses, 500 of the sunglasses, and 1,000 buttons. 1,000 buttons was $347. That one I know because I already paid it. I did pay that one.
Okay, so we're looking at somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000.
Right.
Plus the shipping.
Well, I included the shipping in those costs. Oh, you mean plus the postage?
For us, our postage.
Plus the postage, yes, that's correct. The postage isn't going to be that much. I mean, we now subscribe to stamps.com, and I'm trying to find the workup I did on this, if you just bear with me here a second, because I tried to figure out the prices, right?
So we're not going to be able to bulk ship shot.
No, we're not going to do that, because to wait to do that is way too long. I mean, just so you know, on the $46 package, we're going to make, for each contribution, we're going to make between $22 and $25, depending upon how much it costs to ship, which I don't think it's going to cost that much, but we're going to make between, for a $46 contribution, we're going to get $22 to $25 out of that, around there. And then for the 2021 contributions for the shot glasses, we're going to get about $17 out of that, and ditto $17 or $19 out of the 2021 contribution for the sunglasses. And then from the buttons, we're going to get about, we're going to get a lot. We're going to get about $19 out of that. Maybe $18 or $19. So we're going to get a big chunk out of the contributions that are made to us. So the reason I'm a little vague on the cost is because I don't know what the freight is yet to ship it to us. So that goes in the per cost item. I tried to estimate that. Like, for example, the hats are not going to cost that much to ship because they're light, right? But the shot glasses are going to cost more. But I did take the setup fee and put that in, figured that in and did the per cost on the item. So, so that, I could do the math and figure it out for you, but you're right. It's in the ballpark between 2,000 and 3,000 outlay, I'll say outlay on that, not including the shipping. But
I'm guessing it's going to cost $7 to $10 per package to ship.
It won't
No?
cost that much. No, it'll cost, the most it'll cost is $8, and that's if it weighs a pound. None of that weighs a pound. So most of it's going to cost $3.40 or less. I have to figure out how to ship it though. So, you know, Rochelle and I have to figure that out.
Thank
So
you.
like the shot glasses, for example, you know, we may have to invest in some bubble wrap or something. I don't know. So we still have to figure that out. And the good news is that we bought a bunch of padded envelopes for the election that we still have. So we'll use those first. They have bubble wrap inside them. So we'll use those first. Anyway, it's, you know, I think if we sell enough of it, if we promote enough of it, we'll make a lot of money, just like we did on the signs and like we did on the masks and the buttons, right?
Yep.
So anyway.
Well, with that, Linda, obviously that ends my report, unless there's some more questions. And I agree with you, we'll make a lot of money like we did with the signs and like we did with the masks.
But I would like everybody to push it. Michael's going to put something together, right, Michael, to put out. You're going to do a newsletter, a separate newsletter on this. When you folks see that, pass that around. Make sure people see that and that, you know, talk it up and get people to invest. And then for the watch party, we'll try to get, you know, some people to, some stars, if you will. Maybe they're just local stars. I think we have to get a better idea of what the inaugural is going to look like and who's going to be there, because our congressional reps might not be available if they're there in person, right? So we just don't know that yet. But I saw where I think they said 80% of the 75 to 80% of the inaugural was going to be virtual, right? So anyway. Let me go back to the agenda. Sorry about that. Where are we? Here we are. I lost it. Give me a second. Hold on. Sorry about that. All right, next. We have on the agenda, there we go. After fundraising committee, we have the precinct organization. Shruti, do we have an approved list and a review list or not?
So yes, thanks, Linda. Hi, everyone. I did not send a list this time. We did get one application for review from a returning precinct leader who had moved out and has just moved back. So I don't know if the central committee would allow me to email it tonight and approve it at the next meeting. It's just one name.
Okay.
And review.
For review it, yeah, to review it.
I thought there was one campaign appointment we did.
Yeah, but that was in November. Sorry, that was in
already.
October.
Yeah.
That was in October. We took care of it at the last meeting. This one is recent.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any objection to doing what Shruti suggested?
No.
Okay, everybody's okay with that. So Shruti, if you would email around the name and the information about the person, and we'll just, you know, we'll consider that the review list. And then next time we'll have a more complete list.
Yes, thank you so much. It's from District 15. And I have, I just want to also share with everyone that I got a couple of inquiries. So people who engaged with us, there seems to be, because when Joe, Linda, and I did our debriefs and meetings with volunteers, we encouraged them, and we will be working towards, I'll be working towards recruiting some more precinct leaders, but there's certainly interest amongst volunteers who helped in the election. And also quickly want to mention that this past Sunday, we did our first phone bank to Georgia. There were 38 people who signed up. Some of them were interested in text banking only, and they were directed to take a training for the text bank. So I'll be sharing more information this week for them to continue engaging in that. And 15 people signed up who participated in the phone canvassing, and it was quite successful. So that's an ongoing effort every Sunday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Yes, and I want to give a shout out to Shruti for that. She continued her work, the excellent work that she did on the Sunday phone banks during the election. She picked that right up, and now she's doing it on Sunday afternoon. The remnants of Women for Biden Montgomery are doing it on Wednesday evenings, and then Shruti is conducting it on Sundays. I do recommend that people, sign up and join. And as she said, there's quite a lot of interest in this Georgia election, and Shruti got a lot of people. And I've got to say, Shruti was more organized than the Wednesday phone bank. So we're having a little trouble getting into the phone banks in Georgia because they're controlling them. But I think now we have a little bit of a handle on it, and Shruti's really doing a good job. So from now until the first weekend of January, we're going to be doing it, right, Shruti?
Yes, and volunteers love it. It really is exciting to see the enthusiasm. I think people like coming together and making the calls. It's been quite a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Shruti's really done a good job with it. So thank you
I
for
love
that.
it.
It's
Thank
not
you.
easy. It's not easy. It's, it's difficult to organize that and run it because people are asking you all kinds of questions. I can't find this. I can't find that. So, but Shruti hangs in there and does it. So thanks, Shruti, for all your work, and thanks for your work on that. And everybody remember, mark your calendars, Sunday, 4 to 5:30, right, Shruti?
4 to 6, we debrief at 5:30.
We debrief at 5:30. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Next. Let's see. All right. The final election results. Joe, you're on the call now, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me go to Dolly, who submitted a report. Let me find Dolly's report. And then Joe has an update from our Canvas watchers. So let me get Dolly's report up here. Let's see. Oops. There we go. Okay, Dolly, do you want to say anything about your report? Dolly? Are you muted? I know you're on here.
Oh, now I am.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Okay. Hi, Dolly.
Hi. Usually I give a report on the Board of Elections meetings, but since there was no meeting, I just put together some of these numbers, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So the first page, that graph I got from Alan, and that shows the results of Montgomery County voting. Then on the second page, I used numbers from the State Board of Elections and from the local director of elections, and came up with numbers a little bit different than the first graph showed. But anyway, they're fairly close. They're from different times, and none of them are official. So, and plus the fact I did these about a week ago. So, as you said, you just got an up-to-date report today from Joe Gebhardt, who is the chair of the voter protection.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Dolly. These numbers are good, and they get even a little bit better, right, Joe?
Yep.
Once they
Yep.
finish the canvassing. So,
Yeah, we got some numbers from the state board, the official certified numbers on December 4. And I don't know why Montgomery County still says their numbers are unofficial, but the numbers that they have published, I think, are as of November 29. And I sent, do you have Linda, the information I sent?
I'm looking for it. I thought I had it, but keep talking. I'll find it.
Okay, so I'll try to make this brief, but interesting, because it is interesting. I've got numbers in this report that Linda.
There you go. There you go.
highlighted. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you take a look at that, awesome numbers, but probably the best ever, maybe since Lyndon Johnson. 79% of the Montgomery County vote went to Biden-Harris. Almost.
Excuse me, could Linda blow up the numbers so we can see them a little better on the screen if possible?
Oh, damn. Okay. I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not sure how to do that. I'm really not sure how to do that. It's in an email. That's why I'm having trouble.
Linda, you can enlarge your screen so then it can.
Try
Oh, I
Control
could go, yeah, I
Plus.
could go full screen, right?
Yeah.
Just try using Control and plus sign.
Control plus. Okay, I did that. That's the full screen view. I think that might be the best I can do.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to read through the first few items because they're so impressive. 79% of the Montgomery County vote went to Biden-Harris. 65% of the Maryland vote went to Biden-Harris. 21% of the Biden-Harris vote in Maryland came from Montgomery County, highest percent for a county in the state. Prince George's was second and way behind us on this score. We have what, 1/5 of the vote, over 1/5 of the vote for Biden-Harris coming out of our county. We had 80% turnout of voters in Montgomery County. We had 92% Democratic turnout in Montgomery County. I think that's the best ever.
So let's just stop. So look at that number. 419,569 people voted for Biden-Harris, and our registration in the county is 455,746. That's incredible.
It's incredible.
That's incredible.
Right. And I just want to kind of give a plug to Linda and the party, the Central Committee, and our voter protection, our different crews in voter protection. We set out to run a fair and secure election so that people would feel comfortable voting, whether it was by mail or coming to vote at early vote or coming on election day, that we tried to say, hey, we got voter protection going here. We're not going to take any nonsense from Trump supporters or from Robin Ficker supporters, and we're going to get you the information you need to vote by mail, to track your ballot. We watched the canvass to make sure they counted your ballot, all this stuff. We gave the voters of Montgomery County, particularly our Democratic voters, a real comfort level that they could vote despite all the nonsense and threats coming from the White House, which is really unique. I don't know if we've ever had an election like that before. So, and the coronavirus that limited our ability to talk to people. Linda and I figured out how to do it through this voter protection at the polls, the poll watchers. So anyway, I mean, it was standard to always cover polls with campaign workers in early vote. But you cannot believe in what Shruti did in getting people scheduled for 9 days straight. What was it, 13-hour days? And we had these polls covered almost 100%. I would say maybe, we've told 100% to the state party and elsewhere. It was almost 100% coverage. And I think I said at the very beginning, because I've done an early vote campaign before, that you pick up people as you go along. So you got to cover day 1, day 2, day 3, and then it just sort of cascades. So you guys know that, we had like at our voting centers on election day, we usually had like 3 people covering at the same time. I went to Whitman High and three people were there wearing voter protection buttons, and Mark Corman, our delegate. So it was really unbelievable. The work that was done at the polls, the Canvass Watch people really made an improvement on the whole process. They made the Board of Elections aware that we were watching them closely. We're watching how they did things. Some issues came up that we handled, and we spotted, and Dave Naiman did too, and Linda, that the Board of Elections really was short-staffed and under-resourced. And Linda went to the board and spoke and said, hey, we need more resources. And Jamie Raskin at the same time wrote a really nice letter to the board saying, hey, more resources, got to do better. And so all of that made for a better election, administration, better vote counting, better handling, made our voters feel comfortable, and then 92% turned out. Also, another thing to note in these numbers that Linda has posted here, besides the extraordinary vote for Biden-Harris over Trump-Pence, You know, Jamie Raskin and John Sarbanes and David Trone did remarkably well in their reelection campaigns. And I know their campaigns were much better done, organized, funded than the Republicans, but we just killed them. I shouldn't use that word, but we really got them. And the thing is that if you look at our Montgomery County totals in there and the overall district totals, the Montgomery County totals are really making the strength for our congressional representatives getting reelected, you know, with very high numbers and just going away with it. So because our percentages are much higher in Montgomery than in the district overall, and I wanted everyone to see that. Then down at the bottom on the charter amendments and the state questions, we did very well. And I think that our party's campaign at the polls and through the ballot question town halls and all the explanations we gave, and through the mailer that was sent out by the Central Committee at very considerable expense, it explained our position on the ballot questions. And our voters came through. They believed what we said, and they came through and gave us big numbers, you know, 4A against B, 4C, and against D. You know, a lot of people had concerns about state question number 2 because it expands gaming, and they took the Maryland party and the state and the local parties' viewpoint on that, the trade-off between that and getting more money for education. So anyway, it was an incredible turnout. I know people wanted to come out and vote against the Trump presidency and get him out, but I think we made it comfortable. And having a secure election that was fun. The 7,000 lawn signs that Linda got put up around the county, it looked like everybody was for Biden-Harris. I mean, really, you know, in my neighborhood, we had Republicans for Biden-Harris signs, with everything. You know, it was a party in terms of the signs. So thanks for Linda for the brilliant idea there, right? So anyway, that's all I have. I think the results speak for the great effort that we did in the campaign and in voter protection. So thank you.
Okay, any questions of Dolly or Joe? Thank you, Joe, and thank you again for your hard work on the election.
I just had one question, since it was such a consequential year, during which I imagine we all learned so much. I'm wondering from Joe and Dolly, whether you have any other lessons learned that you wanted to share that we might build upon in future elections.
I think we should do this poll watching and campaigning at the polls in the next election, and not just trust the luck on that we'll have a good turnout for our Democratic governor candidates and the other candidates. I think one very instructive point, which is not buried in this, but which needs some analysis, is that if 21% of the Biden-Harris vote came from Montgomery County, think about what we could contribute to the Democratic candidate for governor if we really pull out all stops. We won't get the same number of people coming, but what if we could get a really high number coming and a high percentage? So I think we should campaign like mad next time so we get at least a Democrat for governor. And I also think that we should try to build into the system this mail-in vote. That'd be my personal recommendation. Most people voted mail-in vote. So I think that we ought to build that in. We have early vote. We should keep early vote. We should keep in-person election day vote. But I think we should try to build in, a mail-in ballot. And there are, 2 different things. One is you request it like we did this time, or some states just send you the mail-in ballot. So I think that's to be continued discussion, which is the best. I also think that the board was not staffed up enough, And they kind of knew we were going to have a heavy turnout, but I don't think they had any idea that it was going to be this heavy or that these many people would vote by mail. So we ought to make sure to talk to the board, make sure they have the staffing and the money they need to run a quicker election. I think it was smooth enough, but it did take a little bit too much time because of being under-resourced. Despite Linda's pitch and Jamie Raskin's pitch to them, I think it went, I mean, they were doing the canvass until last week, I believe. So not good, that's not good. So those are some things. I also think that in terms of campaigning, I think we had no idea how many people were going to show up and all that. But I think we need, if we're going to do campaigning at the polls in the general election, we really need to look at our literature needs in advance and make sure we have enough literature. Because I think we ran short a lot, and we had runners going out to the polls with new literature and all. I mean, we did a good job in making do and covering our bases. But I think we should start with a little extra money and extra attention to our literature. Our literature looked good and was really appropriate, but I think more at the early stage of it would have been helpful.
Yeah, and I'm going to mention that when we get to the end of the meeting about the meeting tomorrow. Dolly, did you have anything you wanted to add to what Joe said?
No, I think Joe already said it all, and it's just that you all keep doing what you've been doing. It's worked.
Did this time, right?
Yes.
Michael, did you have an observation that you wanted to?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to Laura's question about insights or lessons learned from the election. The results of the mail-in ballots on the ballot questions went 2-1 according to the party recommendations, while the in-person voting, whether early voting or election day, split 50-50, nearly 50-50 on all of the ballot questions. So that suggests to me a couple of things. One, that people who were mailing in their votes were considering the ballot questions more thoughtfully, and people who were voting in person were looking at the ballot questions for the first time and going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And it also says that the public information campaign that started with the Ballot Questions Advisory Committee and then the very well-organized campaign to get the process through the precinct organization, and then the coordinated effort with other groups made all the difference. And I'm not a prognosticator, but I was very, very confident before the election that it was game over on the ballot questions before people started voting in person. The other thing that is really significant is that we started very, very early encouraging voters to request their mail-in ballots. We send in their applications. We started that in July. We were out in front, and others were catching up with us in encouraging people to do that. The numbers went high in Montgomery County on vote by mail ballot applications and stayed high, and it's reflected in the final numbers. And so what I'm really excited about is that when we're organized and we're working together and we're coordinated, the party is very powerful. We made an extraordinary difference in this election. And in the first 3 weeks that we were encouraging people to request their mail-in ballots, over 4,000 readers of the newsletter clicked on the link to apply for their mail-in ballot. That just blew every click-through rate we have ever had totally out of the water. And I stopped counting at 4,000. It just kept going. So it was just really gratifying to see that what we were doing was making an extraordinary difference. And we shouldn't forget that, because we really had a tremendous impact on the election this year.
Okay, good, thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to?
Yeah, just quickly from someone who I worked on the one of the ballot questions. We did a polling, and it was actually a 40-60 in terms of us losing on question B. And because of the work of the Central Committee and the leadership of all, it actually, we end up winning 60-40. So, yep. So just wanted you to know that the work we did was not only on time, but I'll also say the sample ballots that were mailed were spot on, and they got there on time, and people did go according to our recommendation. So congratulations to everyone.
Good.
Great. And also, I'd just like to add to that, that 7th State indicated that during the election, it changed a little bit now, but for the election season up until the election day, the article that got the most hits on their website was our statement on our position on the ballot questions. And it's still number 2, only now to schools opening, right? So there was a big thing about schools opening that surpassed it, but it's number 2 for the year from 7th State in terms of number of hits on articles in 7th State. So, so that, you know, that's a lot of power that we have. People were really interested in what we were saying on those questions. And that's why, you know, everybody that worked on that, on those ballot questions, you know, Erwin and his group that did that, I mean, all the way back, you know, to that, and, you know, the great process that they did, and the fact that we had town halls, and the fact that we had the mailing, and we did all of that, it really paid off. And I don't know who it was that said, if we had since we had a coordinated effort, you know, that's really what made the difference. And I think it was what made the difference. So, you know, that's a lesson learned for us going into 2022, right? That's what we have to do, right? And again, our communications is just drives all that we do. So, you know, Michael's at the center of that. He does that work, and you know, that drives all of this, because that newsletter that we put out is really important. That's our link to all of those people that are listening to us. So it's really important. And we're very fortunate that Michael does it, and that he does it so well. So, anyway.
I just had
yeah, go ahead, Laura.
a follow-up, and that is, I think, since it sounds like most of us agree that the mail-in voting is something that we would really like to build into the system, and it of course makes a sense. It's much more powerful if you can have automatic, you know, mail-in voting if you've requested it once, and, you know, the way the 7 states that have done it long-term do it. I'm just wondering if we know whether our legislators, some of them are already planning on putting forward a bill for that, or whether we should do some outreach to some of our key legislators to try to build on that momentum to make sure that goes into law.
Well, Cheryl Kagan told us that, you know, she's interested in working on that issue, particularly as it relates to mail-in ballots. So we know that she has, you know, she's going to put forth some legislation. I don't know if anybody knows of anybody else that's, you know, got anything in the works on that. You know, she's the only one I'm aware of who's doing it, but it's a powerful voice that she has, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's going to be stuff out there. I think also we should not minimize the importance of the drop boxes. The drop boxes are incredibly important.
Yes.
Because there was a lot of, you know, Trump sowed a lot of distrust of the mail. And I know from the calls that we got in the office, which were relentless, and I got to give a shout out to Rochelle and those volunteers who answered those calls and gave those people the information they needed. You know, though people were expressing all the time how they were so worried about the mail, and the drop boxes, you know, were the answer. You said, well, okay, take it to the drop box, you know, and then they were okay with that, you know, then that was, you know, you know, the drop boxes are important. I think they're an important element for us to have going forward as well. Anything else? Other than we need a new president.
It is also necessary to.
I wanted to say that.
Go ahead, Lori, then Harold. Go ahead, Lori.
Yeah, Mike, again, shout out to Michael, unbelievable. I think that part of the reason that there was a 50-50 split on election, you know, the people who voted on election day, is because that's when all the Trump voters were saving up to come to the polls. And many of the Trump voters were, in favor of thicker amendments and the nine seats. So I think that accounts for some of that the people who voted ahead of time, that's because we did all our organizing for vote by mail, and our voters were more inclined to support our positions, but the people who voted on the same day were less inclined to listen to us.
Yeah. Harold?
My comment is that with all the things that we mentioned, the most important thing is that we put up a person who was honest, and everybody recognized that in most states. And that is the key thing, is that if you put somebody there who's just a chronic liar, the public can read through that. I am only hoping that the guys that are running for the Senate seats in Georgia evoke that honesty look instead of go along with the chief because he's the chief. There's a lot of Republicans sitting in the Senate right now. They're going to find that their ass is going to get burned 2 years or 4 years from now when they're up for re-election. I hope.
Yeah, me too.
Linda,
So
let me add something.
Roger Black, just a second, Joe. Roger Blacklow put in the chat that we should give a shout out to the postal workers, and I think we all agree with that. Those folks, battling against some really tough odds, not just the management. That reminds me that I forgot to introduce the guests who are here. I do want to introduce the guests before we end the meeting. But Joe, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just want to add a couple of points to what was just said. As far as what Lori said, that the Trump voters kind of saved themselves to come out and vote in person, I agree with that. And I think that's the dominant reason for the 50-50 split. But I also want to point out that something else is, I would say it's a factor of 10%, maybe 10% or so, maybe 20%, is that Republican poll workers were much more aggressive than we were, because they didn't mind approaching the voters and handing them campaign material, and they were pushing their positions on B and D. And in some situations, our campaign workers stopped being so passive and started, pushing our position on B and D. And that happened in Silver Spring and Germantown that I know of for sure. So anyway, there was some extra campaigning that the Republicans and the Trump people got in on that. That is also, I would say, a minor but a noticeable factor. The other thing is that I think we should circle back with Cheryl Kagan and talk to her about, what our consensus views are on legislation. And we should work with Cheryl because she's got control of the legislation. But let's not forget that 2 of the state senators really stood up and worked hard on the election. And not Cheryl, but 2 of them, Craig Zucker from 14 and Susan Lee in 16, really put a lot into the poll watching stuff and everything that we were doing. Susan organized 16 with me, and Craig basically organized with Lori, organized 14, and Mimi. So I just think maybe we should circle back with them to see what they think about legislation too.
Okay. All right. What I'd like to do is just acknowledge, I normally have the guests introduce themselves, but it's getting late and a couple things we want to cover here before we adjourn. So let me just acknowledge the guests who are here. A couple of them have been mentioned. Andrew Sondri's here. He's chair of the Germantown Democratic Club. Faith Blackburn is here. Hi, Faith. She's here as a guest. Welcome. I mentioned Roger Blacklow, who's chair of the Leisure World, Democratic Club of Leisure World. Steve Schiavone's here. He was on our ballot advisory committee. Good to see you. Did I miss any other guests other than, I know Joe and Shruti and Michael are not on the committee, but they're part of our committee structure here. Okay, I'm sorry that I forgot to mention, too much stuff going on at the beginning. So anyway, thank you for hanging in there with us. So now let me, thanks for everybody who worked on the election. I think we're all like really happy with how it turned out. So I'm going back to the agenda now, and now I'm going to go to the issue of town halls on issues and policy topics. This is something that Aaron alluded to earlier. One of the thoughts, that I've been kicking around with Aaron and Erwin and Joe and Shruti and some other people that worked with this group of volunteers, this activist group of volunteers that were at the polls and worked on all these different issues is, how do we keep the volunteers engaged? How do we keep these folks engaged? And how do we continue to build on what we have in a year when we don't have an election and we're heading up to the gubernatorial election? And so one of the things that we talked about was, can we get more engaged on issues? When I say that, I don't mean, we're going to endorse this bill or that bill, or we want to lobby, or we want, it's not about that. It's more about broader issues where we can engage people. So, there's things we can do. We can have town halls where we have discussions. We can have study groups that come together and do research on issues. For example, if the Biden-Harris administration is pushing for canceling student debt, maybe we want to do some studies around that and some town halls around that and some discussions around that about, what will that mean? What will that mean for us here in Montgomery County? I'm throwing this out here because I think it's something that we could develop into a program, going forward. And then the other aspect of it that I was thinking about is we could have briefings with experts. The Women's Democratic Club does this quite effectively, and they use it. I mean, they actually charge for it, right? And we could too, depending upon who it was. We could actually, it could be an entry. It could be a little fundraiser for us if we had an expert, a noted expert, maybe somebody from the administration, maybe, somebody who is a trained observer. If it's healthcare, somebody who's a healthcare expert or an expert in the medical field. So that's the kind of thing that I would like us to kind of work on going forward in this next year. I think, one issue that is coming up that we probably should do some organizing around is the COVID issue, and particularly with respect to the vaccine. And, how is the vaccine going to be distributed here in Montgomery County? What are the plans? Do we want to weigh in on those plans? What are we doing in the meantime? And this may be a discussion with the county executive. It may be a discussion with the county executive and Travis Gales. It may be a discussion with the county council. So that's one that maybe we want to get started on, right? Because it's pretty timely, and people are very interested in it. And there are all kinds of offshoots on that. The schools, businesses, frontline workers. There are a lot of different topics wrapped up in that, but they're all, even though we have had some town halls on COVID, we could focus them more and make them more issue oriented rather than elected leaders oriented, which is what we've been doing. We've been picking the elected leaders, and then they've kind of done the topics. Racial justice is another issue that we can certainly pursue. Campaign finance reform. John Sarbanes is a national leader on campaign finance reform. We can, and there are local issues around that, public financing and, of campaigns. That's something we have here in Montgomery County in advance of the election that's coming up. What are the issues around that? How does that work? If I want to be a candidate, what do I need to do? What are the rules with respect to public financing? There's we could do a whole program around issues like that I think might be interesting to people. And if we had a goal of doing a certain number, per month or, per quarter or whatever, we could keep people engaged. And then we need to figure out a way for them to then take the issues and also own them, right? So that's why the idea of study groups or task force or, whatever you want to call it, would be good to, come out of it. I'm not a person that just likes to have meetings and have nothing happen, right? So if you have a meeting, then you want an outcome, right? Laura had a great idea today about our voter engagement. I'm going to talk to her further about our voter engagement folks working with younger people and students and seeing if we can get some momentum there. And, we could plug students into what we're doing. So anyway, I'm throwing that out there. I don't know, Erwin, if you wanted to add anything to what I just said, you have some ideas, I know, so.
Sure. Yeah, no, I know we have some disagreement about the extent to which we should be addressing, policy issues. But I think, it's clear we have a democratic policy as established by the DNC platform, and our own strategic plan really enshrines political organizing in support of core issues as really the core objectives that we've agreed to as part of the Central Committee. So as Linda said, we would avoid the problems that come up if we get too specific about endorsing proposals or specific bills. But I think we know there's a broad democratic consensus around certain priority issues at a certain level, and so we would keep this open at a scope that I think would help stimulate debate, but also unify people in the way we bring them together and try to avoid the fractures that come up when you get too specific on policy. And the state party has thought about this as it develops the platform recommendations to the DNC, and our core objective in our bylaws is to serve as the party, as essentially the representative of the Democratic Party as a spokesperson on, or as the organization that speaks for the Democratic Party on policy issues. If you go back to our bylaws, that's part of our core objectives. So I think it really makes a lot of sense to be strategic about selecting a set of core issues of concern as Linda outlined. And I do think this is a way to make it more exciting to be involved in the party, because I think we've sort of hit our max in terms of the type of voters who are committed enough to work in the party in the way that we normally carry out our work. But we know there are, hundreds of thousands of other Democrats out there in Montgomery County who identify as Democrats and vote as Democrats and give money because they care about certain issues. And I think the way to counter the problem of the level of excitement that national politics get and the relative lack of interest in local politics is we can become more relevant by becoming a forum for discussing how the issues of the day play out, at the county, state, and national level, but sponsor local discussions. And I do hope this leads to task forces to bring people together to support campaigns.
So let's I'm happy to hear anybody's. It's getting almost 10 o'clock, so but I'm happy to take any comments from people who want to comment. But let's do this. Let's lead this discussion like this, which is that if you are interested in working on this, like figuring out what it is that we, how we structure this, what issues we look at, and the kinds of components that we have going forward. If you're interested in working on that, why don't you shoot me an email after this meeting, and we'll put together a Zoom call with the people who are interested in working on this and see if we can get this going, okay? Because I think, particularly like with respect to COVID, if we're going to do something, we should do it pretty soon, right? So, I think this could be something really fun, and whoever's interested in working on it, the more the merrier, right? So anyway, I'm happy to take comments on it. It's getting late, but if you would shoot me an email if you're interested in working on this, then we can talk about it in a smaller group. Yes, Erwin.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. In terms of unifying the party and building on the momentum we have, we certainly should, try to engage the people who have already been volunteers and are on our volunteer list. But I also want to emphasize that, in fact, as Linda mentioned, our clubs have been doing a lot of work. Not only have we done some work through the town halls that we organized in the last year, but we should really think hard about, building off what our clubs are doing. The Women's Democratic Club, you
And
know,
the Democratic Club of Leisure World, they do
Right.
town halls all the time. Yeah.
Right, and Steve Chavone is still here, I believe, as an observer. He's the treasurer of the Young Democrats. The Young Democrats are doing tremendous issue-oriented work. The Latino Club has had a number of very pointed issue-oriented forums. If we go down the list of looking at what our clubs have been doing, I think they are doing this to some extent. So I want to make sure that we work with them and not sidestep or replicate what they're already doing. So I think that would be a core priority, is to go out and talk to the clubs and see how we can build upon what they're already doing, as well as you know, working with district caucuses as well.
Excellent suggestions. Yeah. Okay. All right. I know it's getting late. Just a couple more things. So now the last thing on the agenda is announcements. And I put Greg Wim's appointment on there because I did want to bring to everybody's attention that Brother Greg has been appointed to the Liquor Board, whatever the real name of that is. Greg, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, the real name is the Board of Licensed Commissioners, but it's known as the Liquor Board. So thank you, Linda.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a tremendous honor. Also, it gives him tremendous power. So just remember that, you know, if you want to drink, you got to go to Greg. But anyway, we're proud of him being on that. He continues his role in the community. Congratulations.
That's a nice way to put it, Linda.
Anyway, and then Erwin, did you want to just mention the Democratic Party Environment and Climate Crisis Committee that you're heading up for the state party?
Yes, I've reported back over the last several months that I had developed a proposal to establish a committee on the environment and climate crisis through the state party. I made the proposal formally to Chair Lewis in June, and she did approve it. And since then, I've been working with Michael Baird, the political and organizing director for the state party, on how to operationalize the committee. And Michael put out a message to the entire state central committee, announcing it a couple of months ago. And since then, Michael and I have started to develop a game plan. And so we have about 24 people, you know, within the state party who've expressed an interest in participating. And we've invited them to the first meeting, which is taking place on December 14th. And I've circulated a notional work plan to those people as well. So we're starting out, you know, working with the group of people who've already responded, and it's mostly central committee members. There are a few non-central committee members. We're not throwing this wide open yet because we want to sort of manage it so that it works for the party, and so that we're, you know, supporting party objectives in line with our climate environment policy objectives. But this is another example of the kind of thing that Linda described that we might be able to do at the county level. And as I said, Yvette Lewis is supporting this effort. So if you're interested in more details or in considering getting involved, just let me know directly. I'm not officially the chair of it, I believe. I would like to lead it, but no decisions have been made about the structure. But essentially, I did initiate and develop the proposal, and I've been doing the work with the support of Michael on getting it going. And I am hoping that I will be selected as the chair, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll be a very open democratic process, and you know, looking for other people to also step up to the plate to help organize and do the work on this.
Okay, great, thanks. And then the final thing on my list is reminding you all that tomorrow, the Maryland Democratic Party Central Committee meeting starts at 5 o'clock. It's scheduled from 5 to 8, I believe. You should have gotten an email from Michael Baird with your personal sign-on in the message. If you didn't, let me know, and I will get Michael to resend it, or you can email Michael and ask him to resend it. You know, I think they have it scheduled from 5 to 8 or 8:30. I hope it doesn't last that long.
I'm gonna look. I think it officially is gonna start at 6, but they're opening the registration.
Oh, they're opening the registration at 5.
Right.
At 5:30.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sign on. You do need your personal PIN and ID to sign on. So they're asking people to really register in advance so that you're fully logged in and ready to.
That is correct. And Erwin's right. It doesn't start at 5. You can sign in starting at 5. It's the meeting itself starts at 6.
And I had a clarification on that. Yeah, it says that you can sign in starting, I believe, at 5:30. Does that mean that they discourage us, even if we have all of our sign-in codes, from signing in at 10 minutes of? They really want us to sign in at 5:30? That was unclear.
Well, just like the meetings in person, they're going to close the doors, so to speak. It's not a public meeting, right?
Right.
So they want everybody in by 6.
Okay.
So, you can figure it out whether you can get in by 6 by signing on at 5:55. But I think they want everybody in by 6.
And plus,
if
you have any technical difficulties, he can work with you to get you in.
Exactly.
Part of the reason as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Arthur. Hi, Arthur.
Hi.
One more thing. I don't know if anybody has anything else, but I want to mention one more thing that I forgot. When we talked about the inauguration, this has to do with the state party. So the state party's having this pearls and pajamas thing. They're doing a video from around the state. They're trying to replicate, I think, what was done at the Democratic convention. We'll see. But they want us to do videos from each county. They want each central committee to do a video, 30-second video from the county that we live in. I'm willing to do it. I was going to go to Great Falls because I live near Great Falls. I mean, I could do Rockville Pike, right? But I think Great Falls might be nicer. Yeah. So I'm thinking of going to Great Falls. If someone is interested in working with me on this video, you can also email me about that. Okay. It's a 30-second video. My intention is to do it. I don't want to be the only one in it, but my intention is to do it with a selfie stick and my iPhone. Okay. Which is a new iPhone, so it takes nice videos. But if anybody's interested in working on that with me, we have until January 6th to get it done. So I'll be doing it sometime in the next couple of weeks. I'll put out a note to everybody saying when I'm intending on doing it. I'm open to other locations, although I like Great Falls because I live near Great Falls. So if you suggest something else, I might consider it. But so anyway, that's that. Does anybody have anything else? Any other announcements or anything else they want to bring to the committee?
Just one other classic place,
yes.
Linda, for you to potentially do your video would be on the C&O Canal, right where the Kaleva school is. It's a place right on the C&O Canal, and across the Potomac is the Trump Sterling, Virginia.
Oh yeah, you're talking about up there by
Riley's Lock.
Riley's Lock.
Yes, that's it. That would be very, very dramatic. And one dramatic thing, just to put it in as a thought, is if you went over there right before, like this, as the sun was setting, you could say, and here is the setting sun of the Trump administration across, and you'd have the symbol of his golf course literally right there. And yeah. Anyway, it's a dramatic.
That's a good idea. And Riley's Lock is really popular. I mean,
yeah, it's beautiful there, and you actually see his golf course. And it would be very dramatic to do it as the sun is setting on his administration.
That's not a bad idea. We might.
And Linda and Laura, there's another piece of history there, right above Riley's Lock in that low part of the Potomac, and it's like a half a mile up from Riley's Lock, going north on C&O Canal. That's where Jeb Stuart, with a 500-man Confederate cavalry, crossed and attacked Montgomery County.
Oh.
So wow. It has quite a history now.
Yeah, Riley's Lock is a really pretty place. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. That's a good suggestion. I like both, I don't live too far from there either. Farther, and that's up county, so okay, so I'm going to pick a day and then I'll put it out to you all, and you can decide if or a couple of days, you can decide if you want to join me. I would like people to join me. I don't want to do it myself. But I will if I have to, because I want us to be represented, right? So anyway, anything else coming before the Central Committee tonight? Okay, again, thank you everybody for everything you've done. Thank you to the former officers, and another year to build, this is going to be a better year, right? We're going to get rid of COVID eventually. We're going to get rid of Trump very soon, and we're going to sell a lot of inauguration swag. Okay, so anyway, thanks everybody. Have a good night.
Good
Stay
night,
safe,
everyone.
Stay healthy.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody.
Take care. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do we